Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. I hope the holidays brought you many blessings. I hope that uh, they gave you good time, quality time with those you love. And here we are, onto another year. And feeling maybe a little tired from the holidays, but nevertheless, we go on, and it's a new year. So, again, Happy New Year, and I wish you all the best, all that is good in this coming new year to you and to those you love. So I did have a meeting with the children yesterday. I did a lesson and I didn't realize they're like, Grandma, do we have religion? And I said, yeah, wait not. Because the schools here in New Jersey, most of them had school yesterday, even though apparently it's a holiday. And they did not. They're in New York, right across the border here. So they were wondering like, why are we having religion? And I said, no, that's fine. And they were fine with it. But when I got there to the house, I had some friends over and they're like, parents were like, could they stay? And I said, I wish, no, if you want to stay, you could stay. But then they scooted out. But it's an interesting thing. We'll see how that works out. Maybe down the road. I don't know. I was with them, and the very first thing we did was to do the assessment for Unit 2. And said, it's time to do your assessment. And they're like, yay. And their mother's going, yeah, they want to take. I said, there's something about it. I think they just feel there's something that they love about knowing something. They know the answers. And again, the beauty of this, and when you do this through the model of the liturgical calendar and the liturgical year, things come back, things repeat, although you're learning new things, but certain solid teachings come back again, year after year. So it gets cemented. And I'm a big believer in repetition. And if you're not going to get it one way, you're going to get it another way. So I think they are happy about having to do the assessments. They were very pleased with their responses and their answers. So that was a good thing. Maybe got stuck on one. One of them did, one of the twins. But they just loved the fact, and then we discussed the answers and they were happy about that. So that's how we started off the lesson after we did a little prayer. And then what I did, we were doing the lesson for this coming Sunday. Now, it's really the program treats two lessons, two gospels, one for the 8th, which is the Magi, and one for January the 9th, which is the baptism of Jesus. So during the week, there was something I wanted to do that was a little different for them, just to kind of not do the same old, same old. And what I did was I decided we were definitely going to treat the Magi. That's going to be the gospel for Sunday's, reading. And I wanted to discuss with them why it's different than the shepherds and all of that. And since the following week, the 15th, treats the baptism of Jesus through the eyes and the testimony and the witness of John the Baptist, I thought I can work around that and use things from that. So we didn't go into the second reading this week because I wanted time to do something different. When we talked about the Magi, we talked about astrology, the North Star, and where they came from. And I said to them, does the gospel say what their names are? And they were like, let me see. And they're looking, no. I said, well, they do have names, the 3 of them. And I want you to write them down in case someday you're on Jeopardy and that question comes up, can you name the 3 kings? So I told them, they wrote it down, Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. So they're all ready. They know they have names, which comes from a Western tradition. The other thing we discussed, the gifts that the Magi brought, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And what were they? And I said to them, why would you bring gold to a little baby? And they were saying they wanted to pay homage to the king of the Jews, which was really, you would bring gold to a king. So they got that really well. And we discussed frankincense, in church, if you ever see incense, the smoke goes up, and that's about our prayers reaching up to God. And then myrrh, the fact that it's an oil used to anoint the dead body, which was the Jewish custom of the day. When Mary Magdalene went back to the tomb after Jesus was crucified, she went to anoint the body. She says that you read that in scripture, and that was, she would have used myrrh, the oil. So I told them that, so did the same myrrh that the wise men brought to Jesus, Was that the myrrh, same myrrh that Mary Magdalene used to anoint, or that she wanted to anoint the body with? I said, I don't know, could be, probably not, but they're so literal, right? At this age. So again, next week, I'll really do heavy duty on the baptism of Jesus. I did want to get through the Magi because it kind of closes out the Christmas story. And I thought that was important. But in my week, as I was saying to you, something else came into my mind. And I wanted to deviate a little bit, but I wanted to teach a lesson as well. Because I thought, not only for the deviation a little bit, to do another refreshing kind of thing to do, but I realized that something had come on Apple TV and I was very thrilled about it. I'm going to show this to you. And I decided I'm going to do a lesson with the kids. We're going to watch this movie. Maybe 2 years ago, I came in contact with this book. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. I don't know if you've ever seen it, if you've ever read it. It's a quick read. It's a 20-minute read. It's for all age groups. But it addresses those things in life. It's very simple, but it addresses those things in life that kind of we are concerned about. Charlie Mackesy, the author, did a wonderful job with this. And what they ended up doing was making it an animated movie on Apple TV. So if you have Apple TV, I suggest you watch it. As I said, but I wanted them to watch the movie. I gave a copy of this to every one of my kids, their families. I don't know, obviously they hadn't read it yet, or they read it in bits and pieces, but I said, let's sit and watch the movie. The movie's only like 34 minutes long. So put it on, and I said to the twins, like, take a piece of paper and write down something that jumps up at you, something that you would like to think about or talk about. And they did. And then what happened was, all of a sudden, the other kids, because maybe it was a movie, they wanted to say, everybody sat down. Everybody was home. And we all sat and watched this movie. Now, some adults may have found they needed tissues because it's very touching, very simple, but it approaches so many different things that are on our minds, I think, that we never speak to. Like, when do you ask for help? What does it mean to ask for help? But it's just, if you get a chance, I do yourself the favor and just, get the book. But I was thrilled to be able to sit there with them. And we all sat there for 35 minutes, watched the whole thing. And we were all moved, and they wrote down what they had to write down. I also beforehand went on a website for this, and there were discussion questions. And there's also a list of some of the quotes. The quotes are very profound in this. The beauty of this book, it's obviously a secular book, doesn't have an imprimatur on it or anything like that. But the beauty of it is it's very spiritual in many ways. It's very human in many ways. And if that's not religion or a religious education to address it, to see it, and to talk about it, I don't know what is. It's just simple, and it catches you, and it's very calming, and for the whole family to watch. And then we had dinner and we discussed the book. And these are the things, how afraid are some of them at sometimes? When are you afraid? When are you going through a storm in your life, to know that there's an end to it? So very rich in life lessons. And I just felt this was a piece that I didn't want to pass up, and to start the new year off with this as, as an, an option to do. So it was great. Actually, my daughter teaches middle school language arts, and she's using it now with her students. She says, we don't get the chance to talk about being kind too much. We're so into, what we have to do in social issues, which is fine, but we need a break. We need to talk about being good human beings. I would also say, I'm going to go on a limb maybe with this and say, what they're addressing here, certainly some of the qualities for discipleship. And at the end of the day, what I did was to meld together the gifts of the Magi, and how we can use the gifts that we have, that we saw in the book. How do we put them together? And, what gifts do we bring to others, to the Christ and other people? What do we do? And I think this book addresses it. And you see the community forming, and you see, all good things. I know I'm going on and on about it, but I think it's a great little item to discuss when you want to change a little bit from the lesson. I think it's important for you to know, I think it's okay if you want to, as long as you're addressing this next week's gospel. I don't have a problem with putting something like this to the day of the lesson. If you think it's appropriate, something like this, it cuts across all ages from little kids, 5-year-old, all the way up to adults, older folks. It's appropriate, it's relatable for every generation. So something like that where you can discuss it, you can talk about it, even though you're different ages, it really turns out to be a blessing. So don't be afraid, if you may not feel the confidence to be able to do that. If it makes you feel any better, if you'd like, you can always get in touch with me. You can run it by me and see what I think. We can have a discussion about it. But I say every once in a while, I think we have to do a little change up. And, maybe we can create some kind of a library eventually of things that are like this. Maybe secular, maybe not, but something where, we can tap into. Or if you want to do it outside of a lesson, you could do that too. But my point is this: if you have Apple TV, watch it, and watch it with those you teach. And if not, the book is great. I'm not getting any royalties for promoting it, believe me, but it's just touched my heart and so many other people I know. So I would strongly suggest this little, opportunity. So that was my lesson yesterday. It was, it was different, but it was rich. And for them not to move, none of them to move for 35 minutes was phenomenal. And just to be together with them, and you knew they were all getting something from it, and to be able to share that definitely is a gift. And that's what family catechesis basically is about. That we're able to look at things, find the commonalities or the differences, and be able to talk about them. So it was fun. It was a good thing. It was rich. My daughter-in-law is like tears because it's very touching, but it's beautiful. And again, it turned out to be a very good lesson for all of us. From the beginning, from doing the assessment to the end with Charlie Mackesy and his great book, and the film, it was a good lesson. I'm happy we did it. And that was it. So I'm wishing you a good week. Again, if you have any questions, you want to discuss anything, feel free to email me at Marilyn at flom.com. Thank you. Have a good week. See you next week. Bye-bye.